Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is Ryan from My Best Life Paraguay. No affiliation, but I was recommended My Best Life Paraguay and Ryan from one of my clients, actually, who goes by Pengu. He knows who he is, so shout out to him. And he said, hey, you got to get Ryan on the podcast and hear a little bit about his story. So welcome, Ryan, man. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So I'm actually new to your content. I started kind of poking around this week, but maybe you could tell me a little bit about your background story for me and the audience at home.
Yeah, sure thing. I was born in Paraguay in 91. That makes me 33 years old now. And I was adopted at 2 years old. And I lived my whole life in Wisconsin in the United States of America. And I met my biological family in Paraguay in 2012, about 13 years ago. And then, so I've been visiting every single year since for about a month at a time, whenever I could get vacation time and all that. And and then I just started falling in love with the country. Met my family, have a close bond with my family all the way to this day. And I decided that. Well, I always thought that I would retire to Paraguay, right? But I decided that there's a couple things that happened in my life that, well, let's try to get there now. This was 2 years ago. I made the decision, and when I was adopted, I actually lost my Paraguayan citizenship because I became a naturalized citizen of the U.S. So I had to pretty much reclaim that. And in my case, because I do have family ties, I was a little bit more lucky and able to jump to permanent residency. So that was in my favor, and that was a year and a half ago at this point during my residency trip. And then, so now I've been here in Paraguay. I've lived here for a little over 8 months. I actually just did a video. Been here for 250 days. Um, and so it's been a great time, a great journey, and there's ups and downs like all of us who move abroad, but overall it's been one great experience.
And somewhere along the way, you decided to start creating a bit of content around your journey and your best life Paraguay.
Yeah, I had the idea actually before my residency trip. I didn't know what to do, but I was actually looking at a few houses, which is actually my most popular video right now. This would have been a year and a half ago. I released the video a year ago. Sitting at somewhere around 12,000 views. I filmed three more modern homes, beautiful homes in Villa Elisa, which is a city within the metro area of Asuncion. And people love that video, and I just decided to keep going with it. Also talking about my life, my journey, my story, the culture here, dating, pretty much anything that has to do with Paraguay. And I just decided to keep going with it. Got monetized a couple months back, and and it's been enjoyable.
Nice. And I think you're going to keep growing for sure. And do you find that the support that you're getting is mostly from Paraguayans that are supporting your content? I guess your content's in English mostly, right? So, or what are you kind of seeing as like the balance between, like, I don't know, Americans and Paraguayans with your content?
Yeah, my numbers actually say it's mostly Westerners, Americans first, Paraguayans second, sitting around like 15%. And in fact, actually, a lot of Paraguayans will watch the subtitles as well. So there's a good amount that do understand English, or even Paraguayans who live in the U.S., for example. Um, but mostly my audience is a Western audience. I've done a few videos in Spanish, but majority are in English. And that was because, at least I told myself years ago, that there's already lots of content in Spanish about Paraguay, and I just felt like Latin Americans kind of have a better knowledge of what Paraguay is, but the Western world doesn't as much. So I kind of wanted to touch on that niche. I'm beginning to do a little bit more in both Spanish and English. I also have a tiny TikTok presence and Instagram, etc. I'm meeting other influencers down here as well, though, which has been really cool these last few weeks.
Nice. Who have you met so far?
Yeah, well, I ran into just randomly Yankee Wayo. I'm sure you probably
Is
know
that
him.
Nathan Seastrand?
Yeah, yeah, I ran into
Okay.
him and his brother at a restaurant after they got done filming another Chaco or Rio Paraguay documentary. So those are great guys, and I appreciate their work. And yeah, and also went to Eddie El Nómada del Arte, the Art of the Nomad, his channel. He's mostly on TikTok,
I don't know
but
who that is. El Arte del Nómada? What was it?
yeah, he's Mexican origin, but he lives here in Paraguay. Has a really big following on TikTok,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, he just has such a love.
Eduardo.
Yeah,
Okay. Gotcha. All
yep.
right.
So yeah, and just there's other two influencers down here as well. They have more odd screen names. One is Priscilla. The other is, oh man, she's gonna hate me. I believe Mary. Anyways, but anyways, they're more TikTokers. But it's cool meeting them. And so I think that I will start doing a little bit more content in Spanish, but probably more on TikTok, to be honest, and keep it a little more English on YouTube. But we'll see kind of how it goes.
English makes more money, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so as well. Yeah.
You kind of have to pick one or the other. Most people kind of realize because people just want to know, like people want to know what they're going to get from you. The bilingual stuff, people say, doesn't really work too well.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting you bring that up because I was actually interviewed by Alvaro Molinas. He's also a really big name down here in TikTok and YouTube. Alo Molinas, I believe, is his YouTube and ALO on both platforms. But anyways, he's more of a comedian. But he found my channel after I did a video in Spanish, and he interviewed me in Spanish. Unfortunately, it didn't save because it was a live, and I didn't know that TikTok lives don't actually save like they do automatically on YouTube. So I don't think it's searchable, unfortunately. Uh, but it was still a great experience, and he was kind of telling me that yeah, I mean, he does majority of his content in Spanish, and then when he dips into English, people are all thrown off and and confused, and they don't really engage as much, right? So I kind of get that point.
Well, yeah. Imagine if you're some guy just like switched to German in like half his videos, and you're like, "Fuck, I don't fucking understand German." Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch someone else's shit. Yeah, interesting thing. Okay, we can come back to that. I think for the audience, they would love to get maybe your sort of first impressions. I know you've been down there a little while now, but about sort of living in Paraguay. Because for someone that hasn't been to Paraguay, how would you sort of describe it and make it relatable? It sounds very far away for an American. You probably know, right? You have American buddies back home, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm in Paraguay," and to them, it maybe sounds like super third world, and you're like, "No, it's actually like pretty nice, kind of thing." How do you kind of approach that? This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. If you're a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Haltza, author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income by implementing his paycheck multiplication layering method. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond $20K a month. With this method, Rolf contractually guarantees that you'll be able to double your income in 45 days. So, if you're interested in unleashing your earning potential and doubling your income, then click the link in the description and book a call with Rolf right now.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm a little bit biased, right? Because I have been here and family connections, and I was going to come no matter what. But even if I would have done a more of a process of elimination kind of deal, like most people do, that end up here, um, yeah, I mean, number one is our hospitality, as you probably know as well. I think that I haven't spent significant amounts of times in other places, but I've heard this from other expats and my own experience beyond my family. But just being accepted as an American, as a Westerner, Paraguayans have a lot of patience if you don't speak the best Spanish. Um, and now I find myself much more fluent, but even 13 years ago I had a lot of issues. And um and not only that, but also and well, yeah, I mean, when you first arrive, you struggle quite a bit because we have so many different words that are completely different than like Mexican Spanish, Colombian Spanish, etc. So it takes a while to get used to our culture, our language, etc. But the one thing that I mean is just and actually, well, yeah, I mean, is our hospitality here. Paraguayans' hospitality for foreigners, for Westerners, but also for adjacent countries as well. And in fact, it came up in the news a couple months back when Paraguay hosted I believe, the South American Cup or something like that. That Argentinians and Brazilians in particular were just extremely pleased with Paraguayans' hospitality as well. So it extends to people around the world, and other Latin Americans as well. So that's number one. Number two is cost of living is extremely doable. I mean, I'm living in my 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom duplex here for $375 a month. Something unimaginable in the States these days. And this
Let's
is
pause on that. Two
sure,
bedroom, two bath,
sure,
$375 a month.
yes, yep.
I tweet stuff like this and people don't believe me. Or they say it must be so shitty you must be living like a local, and there's no hot water and the electricity goes out every other day. Or what are you actually getting for 375 a month?
Yeah, so this is 2024 built. It's brand spanking new. I mean, water heaters are installed. Came with mirrors. Everything came with a stove. And
2024 building. The building is brand new.
Yep, yeah. This is a duplex, so there's two sides, and
It's
I'm
a
on one.
duplex. So it's not like an apartment building. It's like a
No, I'm
two
on.
it's like a 2 unit house sort of.
Yep, and I got an area in the front to park a space for 2 cars. I have a dog here that I brought to the from the U.S. And he has a space outside. I also have a back patio in the back as well. I have a beautiful built-in brick wall grill. A lot of people maybe not know, but pretty much like anything newly built these days is going to come with some sort of brick grill because us Paraguayans, we grill out a
Yeah.
ton.
Dude, the builds are sick. Like the
Yeah,
apartment buildings all have like pools on the roof. Every apartment in the building has its own like built-in barbecue thing. Your place has the built-in barbecue thing. These things are sick. I mean, it's
yeah.
so cool. I mean, it's such a good feature.
Yeah, these are things that Americans would pay thousands of dollars for. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, brand new apartment buildings, it blows my mind, but they always take in consideration the the brand new brick grills, because we're that's a huge part of our culture down here is the family gets together on the weekends to grill out. Extremely common. Friends bond that way as well. They'll have soccer games, have some beers, then grill out. I mean, it's just like nonstop down here. Asados. That's the way that we say it. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, like I guess to paint a picture of Paraguay, it's a country on the rise, right? For sure. So your average local still is struggling quite a bit economically. I know this for a fact. I mean, I have my family as well. Uh, but it's at least going in the right direction. And actually, it was really interesting. But I saw newly built, pretty much duplexes, really tiny things though, probably even half the size of mine. But even with the minimum wage here, which is only $330, I saw these things popping up for around $85 USD. And I was like, wow, that's a less than a third of people's income here, monthly income, which in the US, so many people are paying over half of their income for living expenses alone. So I see a middle class growing here.
Do you say rent for $85 a month?
Yeah, these are tiny little duplexes though that I'm seeing pop up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I haven't visited them yet in person, but it's there. I think that there's going to be more affordable options for your average Paraguayan as well, which is good for society as a whole, for sure.
Yeah, people don't realize it. Like you $400 or so is the minimum wage, but you can live like reasonably well in like quite well in Paraguay on $400 a month as a
Mhm.
local, as long as you kind of like know what you're doing.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. If you're cooking, you're not going out too much. If you're combining expenses when able, if you have multiple generations in your family contributing to a household, absolutely, for sure.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, if rent's $85 or even $150, like, you can still make it happen. And if you have like a multiple income household, not, or like roommates or whatever, like you're making $400, you're living with somebody, he's making $400, you're spending $100 on rent, whatever. I mean, it's people don't realize. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's so funny how in the U.S. are obviously like the what's it called? Like the top line number is higher, but we're spending such a huge percentage of our salary on rent and things like that.
yeah, they always say that you should be spending under a third, I believe, of your income on housing. But so many times as Americans, it's usually half or more, which is absurd, and not considering everything else. So, the middle class is shrinking in America, but it's actually coming up in places like Paraguay, Mexico, even Colombia. Slowly, though. I mean, not like overnight, but slowly, just because of purchasing power. And it's interesting to see this play out over 15 years because 15 years ago, Paraguay was very, very much struggling. Your average, I mean, people still do struggle, but your average Paraguayan was struggling even worse, even harder. But not to get too much into politics, but we do have good leadership here, at least in the presidency of what I believe.
Yeah,
A
yeah. It's like center
strongly,
right. It's right wing ish. Fiscally
yeah,
conservative and everything. So there's not too much inflation. Like debt to GDP is very low, so there's not much inflation.
mhm.
So prices, and it's a big exporting country, so they have like a good balance of trade surplus and everything.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, people don't even know that Paraguay even exports beef to the United States of America. And even in comparison with Argentina, Paraguay exports more beef than even the powerhouse Argentina right next door. So Paraguay has a very healthy exports, and that has to do with rivers and ports, but also the bioceanic corridor highway system that I believe has just been completed. I got to check on that, but either way, there's still been highways connecting at least to Chile, but I think now it's all completed all the way through to Brazil as well.
That's cool. Yeah, let's just keep doubling down on cost of living a little bit because I know it's something people are super interested in, and you have a good perspective as sort of like an American Paraguayan, right? Where you're like straight, pretty, you grew up in the U.S. mostly. Um, I don't know. I'll just keep talking about it, like what you're seeing in terms of cost of living differences.
Well, I think that one just stark thing in general is that I was paying $1,200 in the U.S. to live in a tiny little box, right? And here, that covers absolutely everything: entertainment, all bills, living expenses, anything I want to do, transportation, everything included, for under 1,200 a month. Um, right, but I mean, you can bring that down quite a bit. And actually, when I did my cost of living video for "Can You Live in Paraguay for Around $1,000 a month," I was really overestimating, because I do that on purpose to not like paint a misrepresentative picture, right? But you can, like you were saying, you can live all the way down here as locals do for like 300-400 a month. But I say that you should probably have, if you're coming with Western standards, around 1,200 minimum, 1,500, but even actually things like I did. So even to bring down my rent cost, because it was going to be closer to around actually 400. But what I did is, and you're able to do this right with your once you get your cedula, your residency card. I just offered to pay it all in cash for 12 months up front, and then so they offered me 5% off, which is what's what brought it down to 375. So like you can do certain things like that to save hundreds of bucks off the bat. I knew I wanted to live here for strategic reasons. In San Lorenzo is where I live. And actually, next coming up in August, I actually want to be closer to family in Capiata. So I'm actually looking at houses for around $152, million 200 or so. Yeah, last time I checked, that's around $152 a month. Little tiny little modern homes, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Little area in the front for my dog. I mean, nothing spectacular, right? But just to cut down on costs even more, and bring stuff to around maybe 700 a month, 800. So there's ways to be strategic where you can really bring stuff down. I can get into my bills if you want, like Wi-Fi, all that.
Yeah, go for it. Fuck
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so one of the major telecommunications companies here, I think that's what you would, yeah, call it, is Tigo. The two main ones, I believe, are Tigo and Claro. But I use Tigo. And to give you guys an example, when I pay for Wi-Fi, I also pay like I think like five six extra bucks a month to have cable down here, which so I can watch the Paraguayan national soccer games. Um, and also cellular service. But all of those things combined, actually, I think I even have HBO in there too. I never use, but I'm trying to actually get rid of that. There's another like $5 that I need to get rid of. But all that together comes to like $40. And when I pay, so that's
Phone
covers
and internet, $40 a month.
phone, internet, cable,
And
and
cable and
HBO.
HBO, 40
Yeah.
bucks a month. Okay.
Uh, and when I pay electricity, you pay that to the government. So there's two government entities. There's Ande, which you pay electricity to costs, and then there's ESSAN, ASAN, I believe, which is where you pay your trash pickup and your water bill. And lately, I've been finding my water bill and trash to combine to around like $13 a month, and also my electricity bill, because we were in the summer months. I do run electricity and I do work from home, so it is actually a bit higher for me. And I also keep it on for my dog to have AC during the day, so it's almost constantly running. But anyway, so the high months for electricity come around to around $80, 70, 80, depending. But I've also had lower months where it's around like 40, 50. So,
And that's 24/7 blasting it for a whole duplex.
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I don't have it
Yeah,
back like in my bedroom when I'm like in the main area here, but
sure. Like
um,
good amount of usage. That would cost more in Mexico and significantly more still in Canada or the US.
certainly. So yeah, so I mean, if I combine all those things, electricity, water, trash, Wi-Fi, phone, cable, HBO, all of that usually comes around to like 130 ish. Yeah, 130, 135. Sometimes it can be much lower, like under $100, all those things combined, depending on the month. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just to give you an idea. And actually, I have quite a bit of data because I go live so much on my phone that you can even bring your cell phone bill down to like $5 a month. I think mine's probably like 13, I think. Um, but yeah, you can definitely save a ton of money living here. And I mean, don't get me started on food. I could talk about food, but it's like around anywhere from a third to a sixth of the price of the U.S., depending on the city you're in the U.S. You know, but especially things like veggies and fruits in the market. I mean, those are just like incredibly cheap. Um, Meat, high quality meat here when you're buying cuts of beef. Great quality beef, by the way, too. If people don't know, if they haven't been to the southern cone of Latin America, the Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, we have amazing quality of meat here, comparable to the U.S. And much cheaper. And even people say that it's even better tasting than the U.S. as well. But yeah, I mean, even cuts of beef would be actually like a fourth of the price sometimes. That even when I've gotten like major cuts of beef in the marketplace of Vacío, that would absolutely go for like 80 to 100 USD, but I get it for like 20, 25 bucks here. Actually, I was talking to my Canadian buddy, and the Canadian dollar isn't worth as much. So those cuts of beef in Canada would be like 120, nearing 130, but here it's like what 30 anywhere from like 20 to 30 USD. And that those big cuts of beef you use for asados. I mean, you could feed a good 5 to 8 people off of that. So if you get two, yeah, I don't know, 15 people get three. I mean, you're feeding a whole family event, kind of deal. So yeah, so I mean, yeah, you can. It's a cost effective place, a good quality foods, a good quality life. I can get into safety too if you want to, bounce
Yeah.
into that, or I
Let's
can
talk
keep going.
safety. Yeah, let's talk safety.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's a harder. Well, okay. So the locals will always tell you that it's more dangerous than it is. And then expats will be like, wow, this is the safest place I've ever been in my whole life. I mean, it's safer than Europe, safer than a lot of places in America, safer than surrounding Latin American countries. And I would say that's generally true, right? As long as you're, not putting yourself in dangerous situations, which actually, ironically, sometimes I do when I, walk around the neighborhood with my camera out, talking in English and all that stuff. But it's part of what I do, though, right? So it makes sense for me. But like, if you don't need to be doing that, I don't suggest you be doing that. I live in more of a working class neighborhood, but the thing is when you get to really know your neighbors, they'll really look out for you. Right? Like I know every single one of my neighbors now, at least like directly surrounding me, which is so many times I hear in the U.S. that people don't even know their neighbors, right? So they kind of keep we all kind of keep an eye out for each other, right? And so, yes, there are thefts. There are most of the thefts are going to be like moto thefts. Like if they see you, I don't know, maybe with a high end purse, or they think you have money or something like that. But even that's really rare, like incredibly rare. I mean, you could go 5, 10, 15, your whole life down here, years, without that ever happening to you. In fact, you know who has a wonderful video on this is Mike in Paraguay. If you guys want to watch a full like episode on
Mike in
safety,
Paraguay.
I
Okay,
believe that's his channel, Mike in
cool.
Paraguay. He has, and everything he was saying was spot on. Yeah, and Asuncion in general, yeah, there are going to be spots, there are going to be neighborhoods, right, that aren't the best, but in general, the entire metro area of Asuncion is a very safe city in general. Um, and the most problematic areas of the country are, as Mike was saying as well, um, are the Brazilian border. One city in particular, which is Pedro Juan Caballero, which is to the north of Ciudad del Este, and that's where most of the narco activity goes on. Um,
It's hard to get to. Most people aren't going to make it up there.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
most gringos in Paraguay have never even been. So
yeah. If you talk about Ciudad del Este itself, just because there's so much international traffic, there might be more like pickpocketing going on, that kind of thing. Um, but even Ciudad del Este is pretty safe in general. Again, if you're putting yourself out there, bringing an iPhone 15 out, speaking in English, going all around, just have your head on a swivel, for sure. I mean, even my sister tells me that around here. You know what I mean? But in general, right?
is your sister in Paraguay or back in the U.S.?
Yeah. So I have siblings, biological siblings down here. I'm closest with my sister, and she actually has a salon really close to me.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
My whole family lives in Capiata, which is why I want to get there this in the next few months here, once my lease is up. And I just enjoy being around family. Like I like the idea of okay, let's just walk down the street, drink some tea with my sister, go visit my cousin. I was looking at it when I first came down here, but I just didn't see any options that I really vibed with at that time period. But yeah, and I guess one of the things I'll say too is being gringo priced does happen, right? It's not as bad as some other countries. Like, and so for example, I live in San Lorenzo. We have a market as well here. It's much more doable. It's much less hectic. I mean, it's hectic, but it's not like Mercado Cuatro, which is the major market in downtown Asuncion.
Hmm.
And you're more likely to get gringo priced going to the big market, right? Than you are here. And I asked my sister, and she said, "Yeah, it's because most locals in San Lorenzo have a little bit more of a connection to their locales, to the city itself, and a lot of people who work in Mercado Cuatro. I mean, there's wonderful people too. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of people who like come in from outside cities. They don't have that same connection to the downtown Asuncion as you would in some of the smaller markets in like a Niembi or a San Lorenzo or Aregua or something like that. So yeah, it's just much more big, hectic. I mean, it's really cool. But you know, if you're wondering where you're going to get gringo price in the country, that's going to be the place for sure. It always helps to have a local with you though, if you're able to like kind of speak for you, not speak too much. Whenever I used to go to the market, I used to pretty much have my sister speak like for me. Um, you know, so and not say too much so they don't immediately realize that that I'm a foreigner, etc. But uh, yeah. Otherwise, besides that, like I think even I checked like last year, like you know, even the U.S. had a higher murder rate than Paraguay did. Paraguay is on par with, I believe, like a Costa Rica, El Salvador these days. So it's one of the least, at least when it comes to that kind of crime, least dangerous in this entire hemisphere. So yeah,
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So, how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download, or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys. Yeah, I would agree with that. I have had clients where they go down and they get a little bit spooked out, like when they're in the downtown area or they're just not used to Latin America in general.
Mhm.
But it's a very safe country. It's definitely a lot safer than Brazil and Colombia and arguably Mexico too. Uh, so it totally
Agreed.
makes sense. Yeah, I've had that situation too where I'd be like, I'd have a local Paraguayan with me, like doing all the talking, but I'm still there and they're looking at me up and down. They're like, fucking, I'm still not getting the best deal, but better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I guess just two things, or yeah, I'll just keep on crime. So, where you're talking about, they're probably wandering a little too late at night in the historic downtown. There's the uh, new kind of Via Morra downtown, which is going to be safer. But if you're in the historic kind of Calle Palma area, which is really right on the Bay of Paraguay where all the government buildings are. There's a certain neighborhood called La Chacarita. When you look it up on Google, it's going to be like Dr. Andres, something like that neighborhood. Anyways, it's right by the river, and there's a lot of wonderful people in that neighborhood. Don't get me wrong, but there's a handful of troublemakers, panhandlers, maybe some thieves, etc., that come out at night that kind of uh, you know might I don't know might try something, right? So
Yeah, it's normal. I mean,
yeah.
like there's a lot of cities in Latin America where just the downtown center
Mhm.
it isn't where you want to be, right? So that's pretty common. I mean, that's the case in San Jose, Costa Rica. That's the case in Mexico City. That's the case in Sao Paulo. So it sort of depends on which city, whether the downtown is like a good, thriving downtown or
Mhm.
it's like kind of like sketchy and rundown.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's the same thing in the U.S. You know, a lot of the downtowns in the U.S. are kind of like sketchy and rundown now. So
Absolutely. Oh, I guess just the very last thing I'll say about safety is, you don't, you're not going to worry about getting, what is it called, scopolamine, like in Colombia. That doesn't exist here, and if it were to ever make it here, the authorities are extremely harsh on that kind of stuff. They don't play around with that. So there's not, well, there's extremely rare cases where like you're ever going to run into like getting drugged by like a date or something like that. It's not as dangerous as Colombia, like when you're meeting up with like a Tinder date, etc. Still be vigilant, still be aware, even maybe share your location with the buddies still for sure, if you want to like take extra precautions. But I actually get that question a lot, like, is it even safe, like Colombia? Like, yeah, it's much more safe, for sure. And your average Paraguayan too is more likely to be a little bit more vigilant and kind of like like look out for you as well. I know that's kind of hard to understand, but your average Paraguayan does not want your average foreigner to have a bad experience here, because it kind of goes back into the hospitality thing. We have a lot of pride of keeping our image up around the world. And other Paraguayans, like if you get scammed or if you get anything happens to you, they will be extremely upset on your behalf as well. And they will not like that person who did that to you. Believe me, I've run into that several times. Like even if I've had people who think that other people are trying to scam me, like they're just like, like all the words that they'll say against them. But anyways, I wanted to bring that up too, to, I guess, kind of close that out.
hmm and so we're coming on the tail end of the winter. We're recording this sort of mid March. It's probably going to come out mid April because we try to keep a little bit of a backlog of episodes. How was summer? Was it pretty hot? Was it livable?
Ooh.
What?
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Paraguay is an extremely hot country. It's the hottest country in South America. It has to do with our elevation and a lowland country, etc. But yeah, it was. Actually, this is the first week where we're just not having like 100 degrees every single day. It's pretty brutal out here, even for locals, right? And yeah, I mean that contributes to your energy bill. Yeah, honestly, I've tried to live a little bit more life at nighttime because of that reason. But yeah, I mean, you can have like weeks on end that are like 100 degrees, 99, 103. It's unfortunately really normal. Um, so yeah, and but you can manage it, especially if you're a Westerner who has the ability to stay inside most of the day under AC, for sure. I mean, you're still gonna find yourself outside for sure, and still be invited to stuff on the weekends on like 99-degree days as well. But yeah.
Right. Like maybe a 100-day in Arizona, like there's no social stuff going on,
Mhm.
but in Paraguay, life kind of continues and people will still go and, whatever, have a barbecue and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, even though it's hot, I mean, like it's people's summer down here, so people take advantage of the summertime. Like their kids are off, so they have like more time, like to do stuff like with them. Yeah, after pretty much after a lot of people are in the service economy down here. So like a lot of people have like especially women like a nail salons or hair salons, and it kind of dies down right after New Year's. So they have this like period of like a good month and a half, all the way up until like Valentine's Day, pretty much, where it's almost like kind of dead for them, unfortunately. So they have a lot of time to like travel to Brazil, travel the interior of the country. And in fact, that's the biggest time when our Encarnacion is the busiest. I went to Encarnacion for a week in December, and it was absolutely wonderful because it was right before the rush. But
Uh-huh.
you still had all the like the bars and restaurants open on the beach, but it wasn't like jam packed like it is in January and early February.
Yeah, speaking of Encarnacion, so Carnival was basically last week. Did you do anything for Carnival?
I did not. Um, yeah, I know that everybody told me to go down there. I would have if I could have maybe figured out who to take care of my dog. Yeah,
You can bring the dog.
yeah, yeah. I got my dog here. Yeah, he's been my puppy since 7 years ago. So he was coming with me to Latin America.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah, yeah. So that's a hell of a time. It's a great time if you love big crowds. But what we did do though is because my buddy Aaron came, and the first day he came, Marco Antonio Solis, a worldwide famous singer. It was March 1st actually, because the Dia de los Héroes is the day of the heroes. So it's like people get off all the way through Tuesday. It's a 3-day weekend. So they had this big concert, big names here in Paraguay. So me and my buddy Simon in Paraguay, follow him as well, and also Aaron, the hitman.
He's like a older British dude, right? Simon in Paraguay, or am I
That's the older
mistaken?
gentleman. There's a 30-year-old who's my buddy, Simon in Paraguay, younger Canadian fellow,
Okay.
30 years old. And then yeah, I went with Aaron, helped him out with residency as well here, him and his pops, and yeah, we had a great time. It was a wonderful concert. So I didn't get the carnival, but we did go to another concert that was awesome. And just to let you guys know, when you guys go to concerts, girls are gonna want to dance, right? So if you have any if you want to have fun, it's not like a lot of concerts in America where people like maybe just like bobbing their head and drugged out, but like no, girls like want to dance. They want you to approach them to dance. They're looking for a good time, and also kind of like for us it was like 150,000 guaraníes, which would be around $20 per ticket. But you got to remember that like that's like in some cases like a day's worth of work, a day and a half worth of work for some people. So when they go, they're not just going to stick around and just like stay in one position. They're going to go and have fun and make their concert ticket work for them. So they're a great time down here.
Totally. I love that aspect of Latin America. There's nothing I hate more than just standing around bobbing your head. Like I like the interactive element. I guess you had maybe a little bit of Latino training growing up, but
Oh yeah,
going from, was it Wisconsin or Minnesota?
yeah, Wisconsin.
Going from Wisconsin to Latin America, it's a big cultural shift for sure.
Well, what you said is actually true. So I kind of surrounded myself like from middle school and high school around. Most of my friend group was like Mexican American and some other ethnicities. So even from like 14, 15, I was going to a bunch of quinceañeras myself and learned the Latin vibe, like dancing and all that stuff. So I just immediately brought that when I turned 2021 and came down here for the first time. And my family was actually really surprised too, like they kind of thought that, oh, I mean, he's not going to know our music or dance, but I showed up at that age, and ever since, I at least know how to move and all that good stuff. So yeah, it was a little bit different for me. Not every expat has that cultural connection, but I did actually have that to my favor.
Hey guys, quick break from the episode to tell you about BitRefill. BitRefill allows you to shop online and in person without banks, converting your crypto directly into merchant balance. We're talking gift cards to Nike, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, Hotels.com, and many more, all paid for with crypto. Bitrefill offers more than 10,000 gift card options in 180 countries all across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, El Salvador, and many more. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. And what advice would you have for North Americans, Americans and Canadians looking to make the move down to Paraguay?
Yeah. Advice number one is get your residency as soon as possible. It's only getting harder. I know that you provide residency services for sure. And, I just helped one friend right now. I think I'll probably do more collabing, if anything, like even, if we collab as well, get people over to your services. But anyways, besides that, residency number one, because you can live such a fulfilling life. Once you get your residency card, sign rental contracts, get a bank account, get a car. I mean, everything, your whole life becomes possible. Well, not only that too, I will mention, but once you get your residency card, you're part of the Mercosur. So like what that means is like, so I have a car and then on your license plate, it says, like, what is it? Chapa or light or whatever of the Mercosur, which means that you can drive to other Mercosur countries, no problem. Brazil.
On the license plate of the car, there's a sticker?
Yeah, it says, I forget exactly, but something, something Mercosur. So,
But
which
that's
means,
because you're a resident. Or is it just because the car is registered in Paraguay?
well, both. I mean, you don't want to get caught just your car, but then you're not actually a resident as well.
Right, right.
So yeah, like if you get a car, you're gonna want it like registered well in Paraguay. But that gives you free access. It's kind of like a European Union thing. But not to fly though. That's when you are going to need passports and potentially visas, or well, I guess not if you're Paraguayan, but um, so it gives you more free access to other countries, right? So actually, a lot of people who considered Brazil as their first option because Brazil is getting so much more expensive. Residency requirements are more. Visa, even just simple visa requirements are more. A lot of those people are actually thinking about Paraguay first and then just traveling to Brazil when they want to,
Yeah.
which is actually what local Paraguayans do all the time as well. So that's number one, right? Because your whole life becomes possible. And then, retirement and all that. But besides that, I guess like just general preparation. Oh man, try your best to learn Spanish, you guys. I know that's easier said than done. And then once you hit the ground running, it's way easier. Once you really start hearing it, conversing with people. It's well, when I first came down here 13 years ago, the whole translation apps wasn't even a thing. So like I never dipped into that, nor would have wanted to. But try to ease off those apps as much as you can as soon as possible as well, because you're going to live a much more fulfilling life. It's way easier to date. You're going to understand much more. You're going to be able to navigate the country, right? So I mean that's paramount for sure. Um, yeah. Otherwise, just do your due diligence in general. Talk to guys who have been down here. I myself do consultations as well. But just try to get as good of a grasp on before you get here on what this country truly is like before you come. And also, if you are a person looking for the more of the fast life, I guess like that's really not Paraguay. Like that's like more like a Rio, maybe a Buenos Aires, maybe some places in Colombia. Like this is like more of a slow place life. Like yeah, we have our fun events, we have our bars, restaurants, and all that. But like the true like, oh, I need to be at a concert every other day type thing. That's just not gonna be the way. It's much more tranquilo. It's much more spending time with family, friends at barbecues. That's much more of your scene down here for like the social life stuff. Um, and yeah, I guess just come also with just an open mind too. It's a slower moving country, so you're gonna have to find yourself slowing down quite a bit. things move slower. The government moves slower. There's siestas in the middle of the day that you might think of business is open or a local dispensa or something. Um, but it might be shut down from like I don't know noon to like 3 or 4 p.m. or something like that. So just try to catch yourself going with the flow as much as you can. Adapt and and then you'll be fine and keep meeting people, keep talking to locals, because at the end of the day they're going to be the ones who see you the best, right? They're going to be the ones who look out for you. I mean, also do your due diligence and make sure you're not befriending scammers and gurus and stuff either. But locals, try to get in good with them. They're going to look out for you. That's not the case everywhere in the world, but it is here, especially if you're here for the long run, and and they feel like it's a mutual benefit to have a friendship like that for them as well, right? Not to say that it needs to touch anything like economic, but just in general, right? But yeah, I guess that's just basic stuff. I could detail out more stuff if you want, but I guess that's just basic advice.
No, it's good. It's good. So we're almost out of time. I was curious. I think I saw on the live you were dropping some Guarani, and I was like, oh shit, he actually knows a decent amount of Guarani. Do you think it's just something that was like in the blood, or are you making an effort there? What's the deal with that?
Very slowly. I'm gonna be honest. Very
But,
slowly.
but like a decent effort, it seems.
Yeah, I probably know like 30 to 50 words, maybe.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was more. Okay.
uh, no, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I had a girlfriend down here who was teaching me a little bit more, but we didn't work out. So, uh, once I find myself in another more long term relationship, that's when I'm really going to start learning. Which is actually advice I give people to learn Spanish as well. Like if you do find yourself with a good lady, that's going to be the easiest, quickest way to learn Spanish. I literally see it with guys down here too. Some friends of mine who like, yeah, I mean, because people ask me like, oh, should I like do the university route or private tutoring? Maybe before you get here, but then once you get here, just talk to locals, and if you do get a nice lady that you're dating, then fuck it, just like learn through her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Getting a girlfriend definitely helps. Well, it's pretty much all we have time for today, man. It's been really cool to just make the connection. I should be back down in Paraguay some point in the middle of the year,
okay,
sometime this year for sure. Um, so it'll be good to kind of meet up in person, have a pilsen, and check out San Lorenzo.
for sure, yeah, we'll stay in touch on that for sure.
Where can people find you? Last message for the audience.
Yeah, so yeah, my channel is My Best Life Paraguay. And yeah, you guys, if you want to contact me through Instagram, it's the same, My Best Life Paraguay. Email mybestlifeparaguay@gmail.com as well. Got a tiny TikTok presence, but I'm not too much on there. Um, yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's my channel. I'm Ryan Aranda, and yeah, so just let me know if you or watch my videos. I talk about a lot of stuff: culture, economics, where to live, prices, all that stuff, dating, all that stuff. So yeah, so check out my channel if you want to learn much more in that stuff, or just reach out to me.
Awesome, man. Well, you've done a really good job of staying consistent. Over 100 YouTube videos. I know it's a lot of work, but it's a great thing. So keep doing what you're doing, man, and send us Paraguay residency clients.
Okay, yeah, we'll stay in touch about that too for sure.
For sure, man. Cool. So this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today, Ryan from My Best Life Paraguay. He swears he's not on Twitter and had never heard of us before he came up
Oh
with
shoot, yeah, I gotta get
the similar name. But get on Twitter, bro. You're gonna have fun with it. You'll make some good connections. And for the audience, people at home, we put out 2 episodes a week with amazing guests like Ryan. You won't want to miss an episode, so follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we'll see you in the next episode. Ciao for now.